I've lived on this land for over 30 years, long before the cookie-cutter subdivisions started popping up like weeds around the edges of my ranch. Back when I bought it, it was just me, the grass, the cattle, and the wind. Peaceful. Private. Mine. Then came the developers, the HOA boards, and with them, people like Karen. Karen moved into the new housing development that bordered the south side of my property. The kind of place with plastic mailboxes, matching shutters, and a Facebook group for discussing everyone else's business. I didn't mind. Live and let live, as long as they stayed on their side of the fence. But Karen, she had other ideas. It started small. She'd walk her dog along the barbed wire fence and let it off leash, despite the signs I'd posted. Then I caught her throwing a plastic bag full of dog poop into my pasture. I confronted her once, and she told me, "You don't own the wind, cowboy." It blew out of my hand. I let it slide. Then she discovered the back road, a gravel path that cuts through my ranch. It's my private access route, an old cattle trail I'd widened years ago. The only gate on that side was an old metal one with a chain and lock, which I kept closed unless I needed it. But someone, and I knew exactly who, kept leaving it open. I finally caught her red-handed one morning, tires spinning dust as she pulled her shiny SUV through the gate. I flagged her down. "You can't drive through here," I said. "This is private property." She gave me the most condescending smile I've ever seen. "Oh, please. It's just a shortcut. It's not hurting anything. It's trespassing." "It's a road," she snapped. "Maybe if you maintained it better, it wouldn't look so abandoned." I tightened the lock that evening. Next morning, the gate was wide open. Lock was gone. Cut clean through. Probably with bolt cutters. That was the last straw. I'm a patient man. Ranching teaches you patience. But I'm also a man who believes in consequences. So I decided to teach her a lesson she wouldn't forget, without breaking a single law. The first thing I did was replace the chain and lock with a new one. But this time, I added a surprise. I welded a fake latch over the real one. Anyone looking would think the lock was the only thing keeping the gate shut. In reality, the real latch was hidden beneath the hinge post, a trick I'd learned from an old cowboy who used to run moonshine. Next, I set up a game camera in a tree about 30 yards off. Camouflaged it real good. If she came back, and I knew she would, I'd have her on camera, crystal clear. Then came the trap. About 20 feet past the gate, the gravel road narrowed where it passed through a dried-out wash. I dug a shallow trench, not deep enough to hurt anyone, but enough to catch a wheel if someone wasn't careful. I covered it with a layer of camouflaged netting and dusted it with loose gravel. Then I posted a sign at the entrance of the gate. If you like this story, kindly subscribe, like, and share this story. Thanks for watching this channel. Private property. Trespassers will be towed. The next few days, I waited. Nothing. Then, on a Thursday morning, just as the sun was breaking over the hills, I got the notification on my phone. Motion detected. I checked the live feed. There she was. Karen. In her pristine white SUV. Blonde hair pulled back in that tight bun like she was headed to a PTA meeting. She pulled up to the gate, got out, inspected the lock, and, with practiced ease, slipped a bolt cutter from her trunk and snapped it. She smiled, tossed the chain into the grass like it offended her, and drove through. She didn't make it far. Her front right tire hit the trench, and the whole SUV tilted forward with a sick crunch. Not dangerous, but enough to wedge the tire into the ditch and lift the rear axle off the ground. She gunned it. Mud flew. The tires spun uselessly. I was already saddled up and riding out by the time she realized she wasn't going anywhere. When I crested the hill, she was pacing in front of her car, phone in hand, yelling at someone. I rode up slow. "Morning," I said. She froze, then scowled. "You set me up." "No, ma'am," I said. "You trespassed. Again. I'm calling the HOA." I laughed. This ain't your HOA's land. This is mine. And you cut my lock, again. That's 2 counts of trespassing and destruction of property. I didn't know, she shouted. You knew. I've told you. You've been warned. She crossed her arms. Then help me get out. Nope. She blinked. What? I'll be calling the sheriff, I said. They can deal with you. But I'll tell you what, I've got cameras. Got you on video, clear as day. I'll hand it over unless you agree to pay for the damage and never set foot, or tire, on my land again. She huffed. You can't do that. Sure I can. It's called a civil agreement. Either that or I press charges and you explain to a judge why you're cutting locks on private land. Her phone buzzed. She ignored it. You tricked me, she muttered. No, I said. You trapped yourself. All I did was stop making it easy. She ended up signing a handwritten agreement right there, swearing she'd stay off my land and pay for the damages, the lock, the trench repair, and the tow. I gave her a copy. Then I called a local tow guy I knew. He had a soft spot for ranchers like me and wasn't too fond of HOA queens. When she left, she didn't say a word. Just sat in the cab with her arms crossed while the tow truck pulled her SUV out of the ditch. I haven't seen her since. The gate's been untouched. The camera shows nothing but deer and the occasional coyote. Word must have gotten around the neighborhood because suddenly the rest of them started being a lot more respectful. Someone even left cookies in my mailbox. Store-bought, sure, but it's the thought that counts. Sometimes, the best trap isn't the one that hurts. It's the one that makes people stop and think real hard before they try you again.